Hello, hello. I want to say this. I don't care about the history of specifically the black man. They want to call it black people, but it's really when the black man was ruling. I don't care about their history being hidden by Europeans because what I see a lot of black people generally arguing about is just how black people used to rule the world. But what I don't specifically hear so-called black women talk about is matriarchy. And until I hear another, I see some women talk about it, very little. A lot of these so-called black women want to bring up black history, but they just want to talk about black history when specifically black men were ruling, like the Moors ruling Egypt and stuff like that, and even in the Bible. All right, but that was still dealing with patriarchy. And so I see a lot of so-called black women that want to talk about how the white man or whatever has hidden. They want to hide black people in history, but the thing is that, and even when I hear these black male scholars, from back in the day, they only talk about the black man's history when the black man was ruling. What they won't talk about is matriarchy. And so until I hear somebody talk about matriarchy just as much as they talk about because matriarchy was in place before the first dynasty. The first dynasty is the start of patriarchy, right? So before the first dynasty, there was matriarchy, and I don't hear so-called black women talking about it, and I don't hear black men talking about it. And honestly, I want to talk about this a little bit more, but I don't know how far I can go on this channel with this. I'm waiting a couple of months before I get into something like that. Because I want to clear some energies out. I'm not going to lie. I want to clear out some energies. I'm talking about my own personal energies. I'm not talking about nobody else. I'm talking about my own personal energy. I want to do some clearing before I get into that. That's just me. But I like to talk about it. I don't know how much I can talk about that on this page because I saw like years ago when I tried to talk about things like that, and then my pages would get removed or my page would get blocked when I talk about things like that. So that's something that's something that can probably put a target on your back even more than what it is. And it's not about being afraid. You definitely want to make sure that you are in a position to be okay, to be safe when you're being targeted. You want to be in a position to be safe. You cannot be afraid all you want to, but what you don't want to be is stupid. That's what you don't want to be. Like, what you don't want to be is stupid. You cannot be afraid, but don't be afraid when death looks you right in the eye, because it just might happen. And you want to be prepared to know where you're going to be grounded at in your conscious awareness when that happens. You want to be able to know where you're going to be, because the mind doesn't stop. You might think that you're dying, but the mind doesn't stop. All of this that we go through is mental. It's it's where our conscious awareness is. Don't have nothing really to do with the body, because the body is a whole hallucination. The body is a whole hallucination. And that's why you taught certain things about your body. The reason why you feel like your body is the way it is, that you got two arms and legs or whatever, is because we were taught that. We were taught that. It's all mental. It's all mental. What you believe is what you are. And so it's not really about death. There's only one kind of death for me, the way I see it, is a spiritual death, because your physical body is whatever you believe it is. It really is. It's whatever you believe it is. And I need to practice that too. I just said that, and I need to put that to practice. But your physical body is whatever you believe it is. And we believe our physical body is one thing because we're taught that in school. We're taught that in media. And we're just taught that our physical body is like this. But it's really, it really has to do with your mind. But anyway, so yeah, I'm not interested in any history that the white people are covering up when it comes to black people, because when you try to when I see a lot of so-called black women and men try to pull out what the white folks covered up. They only talk about the time after. They only talk about the time after matriarchy. They do not talk about matriarchy. They only want to talk about when the black men ruled. Well, I don't care if white people cover up their history, because guess what? They went the extra mile to cover up the black woman's, the so-called black woman's history. And you know why I say black men and so-called black women? Because black was for the black man. Black was not for the black woman. Black was for the black man. That is what he called himself. Black was for the black man. It wasn't for the black woman. That's why I say so-called black woman, but when I say the black man, I call him a black man. Because, like I used to hear Bobby Hemmings say, the black magic is the black man's magic. See, the black was for the black man. The Saturnians are called blacks, like they're black. But this masculine. I don't think the black is not for the black woman. And so I say so-called because that's how this woman in the United States of America, that's how, for the most part, collectively, not an individual person, collectively, that is how they identify themselves. That is the woman's identity in the United States of America, the black woman. I say so-called because that's the black man's identity. She needs to get her own identity. She needs to remember who she is. A black woman, that was for the black man. That's not her identity, for real. But anyway, getting back to it, I don't care. The Europeans can cover up the Moors all they want to. The Europeans can cover up the African history, the black man in American history, because to be honest with you, Africans know their history. Africans already know their history. They're not covering up nothing from Africans. Now, maybe in the next generation, you might have, because maybe the history, the school is changing in Africa, where you're going to have the new generation that's going to forget who they are. I feel like that's their fight. I don't think Americans need to get into that. There's enough Africans that is able to fight that. Really, seriously, it's enough Africans that's able to fight that. Americans don't need to get into that kind of problem. Americans in the United States of America already don't know who they are. Why worry about what's happening in Africa? They have more of an idea of who they are than people in the United States of America. A lot of them, I would say a lot of them still have their original tongue, but a lot of the language that they do speak, I think probably could come from European languages. I don't know. See, I don't know. That what's happening in Africa just can't be my fight, because the United States of America, the so-called black Americans in the United States of America don't know who they are. So why worry about, the African identity? But either way, the people in Africa and whatever they had going on in Africa and history tries to hide, whatever, let that be their problem. Before a so-called, a lot of black Americans and their history before this actually became United States, before it actually became America, well, until the black man decides to uncover matriarchy and to tell the truth about matriarchy and don't stop covering up matriarchy, and a lot of black women need to do that too, because a lot of black women know the truth. So-called black women know the truth. A lot of so-called black women know the truth about matriarchy. They know a lot of information, and they will not pull that up. They so busy trying to take up for the black man that they will not tell the truth about matriarchy. And a lot of them know some stuff. A lot of them know a lot of stuff. And they will not bring that. They will not talk about it. Because they would get now they get backlash already, but they would get even more backlash. Because guess who they're gonna get backlash from? The black men. They're gonna get backlash from the black men. See, they don't want the backlash from the black men, because see, when they expose stuff that's going on with this world right now, they get attacked. They get directed energy weapons on them. They get all kinds of attacks. But what they don't want is backlash from the black men. One thing a lot of these so-called black women don't want to lose is that black man. That's one thing they don't want to lose is that black man. And they are willing to just withhold the history of matriarchy before they lose that black man. They can have the white man and the Chinese man, the Latino man, any other man or woman mad at them all they want to. They can have other aliens, extraterrestrials mad at them all. They don't care. What they don't want to lose is that black man. That's what they don't want to lose. And they are willing to fuss about how the Europeans are hiding the black man's history mostly. But what they don't talk about is how the black man covered up matriarchy. That's what they don't want to talk about. Okay? But anyway, with that being said, I'll talk later.